I'm Don, and you've just seen a sample of the kinds of basic functions you can do with the point-of-sale software on your Triad system. All you need is some training and some guidance, and that's exactly what you'll get in this instructional video. We're going to present some typical real-life situations. Well, sort of real life. These situations will be the kind you may be faced with when you operate the Triad at the checkout counter in your hardware store. And in each situation, we're going to demonstrate how to do the correct procedure on your Triad. For instance, we'll show you how to complete a basic sale by cash, check, or bank credit card. We'll demonstrate what to do when a customer returns a defective item or wants to exchange an item. We'll teach you how to find the records of your charge account customers, both by account number and by customer name. You won't have to waste time flipping through the Rolodex anymore. You'll learn how to discount individual items or entire transactions. We'll show you how to override the tax status on non-taxable items, how to void individual purchases or entire bills, and how to receive payments on your charge account customers. And for those times when customers leave the checkout counter at the last minute to go get that one item they forgot, we'll teach you how to save a sale as an order. When the customer returns to the counter, you'll be able to recall that order to complete the transaction. This video will present most of the essential material you'll need to be up and running on basic point of sale. But we simply won't be able to cover everything, or we'd have to produce Gone with the Wind Part 2. For more details, we strongly encourage you to read the manual for clerk's point of sale procedures and keep the point of sale flip chart near your terminal. It's a handy reference tool. Okay, let's slow the pace down now while you look over Linda's shoulder as she demonstrates the most common type of procedure you'll perform, a basic cash sale.
Is that all for today, ma'am?
Yes, darling, that'll be just fine. Oh, and could you hurry it up, sweetie? I've got a very important tennis date. I just wouldn't want to keep waiting.
Sure, no problem.
To receive credit for a transaction, you first have to enter your username on the posting screen. So clear away another clerk's name by pressing Clear. Then type in the username previously assigned to you by your manager and press Enter. If the Triad recognizes the name as valid, the cursor skips to the Item SKU field at the bottom of the screen. The system now waits for you to enter the SKU, or stock keeping unit number, of the item presented for sale.
Okay, now just let me have a look at the inventory number. There it is. 1309. Just one?
Yes, darling, just one.
To specify the number of items being sold, press Tab to move the cursor over to the quantity field and type in the quantity sold. Then press Enter to post the sale, and a description of the item appears on the posting screen. As a variation on this standard procedure, if your system is preset to a quantity of 1, then you may skip the step of tabbing over to the quantity field. You can post the sale of a single item by pressing Enter immediately after typing in the SKU number. Since this customer only wants to buy one item, you can now total the bill. To total the bill, simply press Total. The Triad figures the tax and computes the total amount due.
That'll be $20.13 with the tax. I guess that'll be cash?
Yes, darling. You can cash 100, can't you? It's all I have on me.
Of course.
Type in the amount the customer gives you and press Enter. The Triad figures the amount of change you owe the customer and displays it at the bottom of the posting screen. The cash drawer opens automatically, so you can collect the money and make the change. The Triad also automatically prints a cash receipt. Tear off the receipt from the small printer and give it to the customer with the change. Except for bagging the package, the cash sale is now complete.
Would you like a bag to put that in?
No time. Bye now. Bye, honey. Thank you.
You've just seen a cash sale for a single item. If you'd like to practice the same procedure on your Triad terminal, stop the tape now and do the workbook exercise on selling a single item for cash. Or you could watch the videotape all the way through, noting down in your workbook the video counter numbers of those sections that hold special interest for you. Then you could review those sections in more detail later. Although each procedure is demonstrated in a self-contained vignette, we will not be stopping the action to insert any breaks following each scene. However, you should feel free to stop the tape wherever you like and practice the procedures at your own pace. Now, let's show you how to sell more than one item when the customer wants to pay by check.
Hi. Did you find the right doorknob?
I think so. Anyway, I can always bring it back if it doesn't work, right?
Sure. Just keep your receipt.
No, of course. Say, you guys finally got a computer, huh? About time. Must be nice to have a computer do all your work for you, huh?
Well, the computer doesn't exactly do all my work for me, but it does make things a lot easier and a lot faster.
You don't really know at this point how the customer intends to pay for his purchases. And from the point of view of how to post the sale, it doesn't really matter yet. You post the sale of each item just like in the cash sale. Type the SKU number of the first item and then press Enter. Do the same thing for the second item. Type the SKU number and press Enter. After both items have been posted on the screen, press Total to find out the amount due. When the screen displays the cash amount, check amount, and bank card fields, which are collectively called the payment fields, then you ask how the customer intends to pay for the merchandise.
That comes to $35.39. Will that be cash, check, or credit card?
Oh, check.
While the customer is filling out his check, you press Tab to move the cursor to the field for check. Type in the amount he is writing on the check. When he gives you the check, type in the check's sequence number, and then press Tab to move to the next field. Typing in the American Banking Association's number at the ABA number field makes the daily bank deposit much easier. So, type in the code number that usually appears in the upper right-hand corner of a check. The top number is all you need to type in. Then press Enter. The cash receipt printer prints out the receipt and the transaction is complete. If you need to endorse a check, insert the check into the cash receipt printer with the blank side facing you. Then press Print to activate the printer. You don't have to hold the check in place. The printer will automatically move the check along as it prints. And that's all there is to selling two items when the customer pays with a check. It's just like a cash sale, except that you have to fill in the payment fields with the relevant information on the check. Now, let's demonstrate payment by a bank card. As you'll soon see, payment by a credit card is virtually the same as payment by check, except that this time you'll fill in the payment fields pertaining to the bank card amount and the bank card number. In this next demonstration, we'll also show you how to look up an SKU when all you have is a manufacturer's part number. With that number, you can then display information about merchandise like pricing and quantity, even location in the store, without leaving your counter.
Hi, I would like to replace this fan with one exactly like it, but I'm going crazy trying to find this thing. You are my last hope. Do you carry this brand, and if you do you have any in stock?
Well, let me see. Where's the manufacturer part number? Oh, here it is. CW8529.
You mean that computer can tell you whether or not you carry this item?
That's right. By typing in the manufacturer's part number, I can tell the quantity on hand, the price, and even the location in the store.
Wow, that's terrific.
To look up information about an item when you know the manufacturer's part number, type that number at the SKU field and query the Triad for information by pressing the Query key. The Triad will answer you with the description of the item, the quantities available in all your stores, the quantities on hand in this particular store or on order, the price, and the location in the store. Notice that after you make your query, the manufacturer's part number is repositioned in its correct field.
Well, you're in luck. We have 6 in stock on aisle 12 at the rear of the store.
Oh, that's great. Oh, some system you've got there. Can I leave this stuff here? I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'll take care of it for you.
Thanks.
I see you're not taking any chances.
That's right. I decided to get a spare just to be safe. How much will that be?
Let me see.
To verify that the customer has picked up the correct item, you type in the SKU number and then press Display. Typing in the SKU number and then pressing Display gives the same result as typing in the manufacturer's part number and pressing Query. These two functions are like two paths which take slightly different routes to get to the same destination, the description of the item.
Okay, looks like you have the right product, all right. And you want to?
Right.
When a customer orders more than one quantity of the same item, press the Tab key to move the cursor to the quantity field, and then type in the number of identical items being purchased. When you press Enter to post the sale, the Triad multiplies the single item price times the quantity sold and displays the extended price or extension on the screen.
Will that be it, ma'am?
Yes, that'll do it for now.
Okay, the total is $54.50.
Oh, okay. Will you take a credit card?
A bank card? Of course.
To accept payment by a bank card, press the Tab key to move the cursor to the bank card field and type in the amount of the transaction. Tab over to the bank card number field and type in the number on the bank card. Then press Enter to place these new entries into Triad's memory. The system will respond with a message at the bottom of the screen. To endorse a bank card receipt, insert the receipt into the cash receipt printer with the side to be printed on facing you. Then press Print to activate the printer. The printer will automatically advance the bank card receipt as it endorses the slip. After you've filled out the bank card slip and given the customer a copy of the signed receipt, you've completed a sale by bank card. Okay, a new situation. You've already posted the sale of a number of different items, and the customer decides at the last minute not to buy one of the items you've already entered. What can you do? Well, you can't exactly use an eraser or even whiteout, but you can use a function key called void. Let's see how to void a sale.
Is that all, sir?
I'm just wondering if I really need this paintbrush. I mean, the one I have isn't that bad, actually. I tell you what, I'll pass on the paintbrush. Is that okay? It won't mess you up with your computer, will it?
No, not at all. I'll just void this one item and then we'll go on from there.
To void an individual item, press Void. And then, after the Triad asks you what line number you want to void, type in the line number of the item you want to void and then press Enter. The message, Item Voided, replaces the line item in the invoice part of the screen, and the extended price of that item is deducted from the subtotal. If you want to void several items, you must void them one at a time.
Okay, now that's been taken care of. The total comes to $39.89.
Hey, I can handle that. If I could find my wallet, that is. Where is that thing? Oh, darn, I left it on the table. Say, look, I'm going out of town, and I won't be back for these things soon. Can we just cancel this?
Oh, sure, no problem.
Oh.
The void key also allows you to void an entire transaction. If you have already totaled the transaction, press the void key once. If you haven't totaled the transaction as yet, press the void key twice. The screen displays a message asking the reason for voiding the transaction. Type the number indicating the correct response. Since the customer is always right, you'll often type in number 2, operator error. Then press Enter. The screen clears, and you can now begin another transaction. It's new, but it's broken, faulty, blemished. In one way or another, the product does not work. It's defective, and the customer wants to return the item. What do? In this next scene, we'll introduce the idea of a credit memo, which is simply a memo to the Triad to recalculate the amounts and the inventories of the items which are being returned to the store. First, let's examine the procedure for issuing a credit memo when the original purchase was made by cash.
Oh, hi there, darling. I'm so glad it's you who's here.
How can I help you?
It's this lamp. It just doesn't seem to work. There's something wrong with the switch.
Well, what seems to be wrong with it?
Well, it's just so hard to turn. Look, I broke a nail and practically bruised my fingers just trying to turn the darn thing on and off.
Yes, you're right. It does seem to be a little bit stuck, doesn't it? Would you like a replacement?
No. No, they're probably all the same. I'd rather have my money back. There's a clearance sale going on over at Macy's. I'm sure I can find something there I'll really like.
Okay, let me see your receipt, please.
To change the Triad from the regular sales mode to the credit memo mode, press the credit memo key. The system responds by retitling the screen Credit Memo and by presenting you with the header for a cash sale. Press Enter to confirm that you're performing a credit memo for a cash customer. After examining the receipt for the stock keeping number, type the SKU number of the defective item in the SKU field. Press the Display key to verify that the information you are entering into the Triad will be credited toward the same item which the customer has brought back to the store. Press Tab to move the cursor to the Quantity field and type in the quantity of the item being returned. Press Tab to move the cursor to the Price field and type in the original purchase price before tax. Press Clear Field and then press Enter. The system wants to know the reason for issuing this credit memo. Read the screen and respond with the appropriate answer, depending on the situation. Type R for returned goods that will go back into stock. Type D for a defective item, which will be sent back to the manufacturer. Type X for a defective item that is being exchanged for an identical item. After typing in the credit reason, in this case D, press Enter. Then total up the amount of the refund due to the customer.
Looks like that's going to be $20.13.
Sounds about right.
Type in the amount of the cash refund in the cash amount field and press Total to open the cash drawer and give the customer's money back. If the customer has a charge account and wants the refund in cash, you handle this procedure a little differently. Consult your clerk's manual under Credit Memo for details. Of course, those items you put aside as defective will be reviewed by your manager and they'll be returned to the vendor or manufacturer according to the store policy established by your manager. Another store policy you should be aware of is the number of days you must wait before you can return cash for a defective item when the original purchase was made by a check. By examining the receipts from the cash receipt printer or the invoice printer, you can determine the date of purchase and whether the original purchase was paid by check. If the established number of days have elapsed since the original purchase by check, you may refund the customer's money using the same procedures you would follow if the purchase had been made by cash. That takes care of defective items returned for a cash refund. Next, we'll demonstrate the procedures for the exchange and return of merchandise. Incidentally, there's a slight difference between an exchange and a return. A return is an item that is simply returned to the store. You may or may not sell the customer something entirely different to replace it. An exchange is a return for the exact same item, an item with the exact same SKU number, and therefore with the exact same price. For instance, if the customer in the previous scene would have accepted an identical high-intensity lamp for the one she claimed was defective, you would treat the transaction as an exchange and press X as the reason for the credit memo, although no money would change hands during an equal exchange. Actually, you would be calculating an invoice with a zero amount due. The inventory quantities would be adjusted accordingly. While the procedures for a return or an exchange differ only in the code letter you type in to indicate the reason for the credit memo, it is very important to select the correct reason for the returned merchandise. Why? Because each of the code letters you type in affects the inventory calculations in a different way, which your manual describes in more detail. Okay, you've seen how to handle a transaction when an item is returned defective and no other purchase is made. You issue a credit memo to the system and refund the money, right? Now, let's demonstrate how to credit a return when the customer returns something and makes another purchase at the same time. In this next scene, the customer wants to buy something which costs less than the item being returned, and you have to issue a bank credit slip to refund the difference since the original purchase was made with a credit card.
Hi, guess what? My husband found these fans at another store, so I have to return them. I never even opened the box. I would like to get this hammer, though.
Okay. You bought these fans on your credit card, and then you want to credit your bank card, right?
Yes, I think that would be best.
Okay, fine.
Doing a return on the Triad involves 3 separate procedures. 1, selling the new merchandise to the customer. 2, crediting the returned items on the sales document. And 3, selecting the kind of credit or refund due the customer. Before we go any further with this particular procedure, let me give you an important tip on how to handle a return. Do the sales procedure before you do the return procedure. Why? Because of the way the software is designed. In this case, the dual role of the credit memo key. The credit memo key is used both for issuing credit memos on returned merchandise when nothing new is purchased, and for crediting the return of merchandise when new purchases are made during the same transaction. The important distinction to note is exactly when you should press the credit memo key. Let me expand on that. If you press the credit memo key as the very first key in a transaction, all the items you enter after that will show up as credits, not as sales. By pressing credit memo at the very beginning, the entire document is designated as a credit memo. You'll be locked into the credit memo procedure throughout the transaction, and you won't be able to get out of credit memo until you total or void the transaction. However, if you begin the transaction as a regular sale, the system will treat each subsequent line item individually. By pressing the credit memo key anywhere in the midst of a transaction which was initially established as a regular sale, then you can always include individual items as credits on the sales invoice. In short, if you have to mix sales and credits in one transaction, don't begin by pressing the credit memo key. Begin by selling merchandise. Let's show you what we mean. First, post the sale of the new item as we demonstrated earlier by typing in the SKU number, the quantity, and then pressing Enter. To issue credit for the returned items, type in the SKU number and press Display to verify that this is the correct item. Press Tab and enter the quantity returned. Press Credit Memo. The system responds by asking you to enter a price. It wants you to either confirm that the displayed price is correct or enter a new price. If the price which is displayed is the same as the original receipt, press Credit Memo a second time to accept the price. Otherwise, type the correct price over the old one, press Clear Field, and then press Credit Memo a second time. This transaction is a return, so select R as the reason for issuing this credit memo and press Enter. Since this customer wants to have a bank card credit slip issued for overpayment, enter in the amount of overpayment and all the particulars of her bank card in the bank card payment fields. Insert a bank card credit slip in the cash printer and press Print to endorse the slip. Write in the details and give the credit slip to the customer.
The bank will adjust your statement, and my inventory will be all straightened out.
Thanks a lot for all your help. I really appreciate it.
Now let's demonstrate what to do when a customer returns an item and shows up at the counter wanting to buy something else. But the Triad says you have absolutely no quantities on hand. What are you going to do then? In this next scene, although the original purchase was by bank card, the customer makes up the difference for the more expensive item with cash.
Hi, remember me, the wall fans? Well, it turns out my husband hates these things. He could have said something, but no, well, anyway, men, right? So instead, I'd like to get this pickaxe and 6 of those heavy-duty garbage cans that you have displayed out front.
Well, that's interesting.
Huh? Yes, well, we need these things. Now, I think all of this is going to cost a little bit more than what I paid for the fan, so I'd like to make up the difference with cash.
That's fine.
The clerk begins the transaction by selling the pickaxe. But when she displays the SKU number of the pickaxe, she gets a surprise. A message at the bottom of the Triad tells her that there aren't any quantities of pickaxes available to be sold.
How about that?
What's so funny?
My computer says I don't have any pickaxes, but you're here with one.
Oh, that's odd.
Well, since you have one, I'll sell it to you anyways.
Oh, good.
Since the physical evidence of the pickaxe is overwhelmingly convincing, the clerk uses common sense to make the correct decision. She overrides the system by pressing the Enter key to post the sale. She realizes that for some reason, the inventory on this particular item obviously hasn't been updated as yet. Then she types in the SKU number and displays the merchandise to verify that this is the correct item. Since 2 wall fans are being returned, the clerk enters a quantity of 2 and presses Credit Memo. To accept the price shown, she presses Credit Memo a second time. This transaction is a return, so she selects R as the reason for issuing a credit on this item, and once again presses Enter. After all the items are entered, the clerk totals the amount and informs the customer how much she owes. Since the customer will pay for the difference with cash, the clerk fills out the cash field of the payment section like a regular sale. After the transaction is completed, the clerk puts the returned merchandise aside so that it can be returned to stock. Okay, now that you've squared away your inventory, let's introduce one of Triad's time-saving features. It's called Saving a Sale as an Order, and it comes in quite handy when your regular sales procedure gets interrupted for one reason or another. For instance, when a customer decides at the last minute to go get another item and you really can't tie up the terminal until they get back. Or perhaps when a customer needs a few minutes to leave the store and get their wallet from the car. Unlike voiding a sale, which completely erases everything that you've entered, saving a sale as an order saves you the trouble of having to post the items all over again. When you save a sale as an order, it's just like filling out all the information on a form and putting it aside until you need it. Since you don't usually know that you will be saving a sale as an order until the customer springs it on you at the last moment, we'll enter the next scene with Linda having already totaled the sale of a number of items she'd much prefer not to have to enter all over again.
Okay, ma'am, the total is $39.68. Will that be cash, check, or charge?
Cash. Oh, where's my purse? I've lost my purse. Somebody grab my purse.
I think she's lost more than her purse.
I think she's lost her mind.
Come on, let's go.
I haven't got all day.
Oh, it's in my trunk. Could you keep these things for me? I'll be right back. I promise.
Sure, no problem. I'll just save your order until you come back.
To save this sale as an order, press the Save Order key. The Triad assigns a document number, which you can use later to recall this order. This document number also prints out on the cash receipt.
By the way, what's your name?
Popinjay. Popinjay.
It's a good practice to keep track of the document numbers of the orders you save, for example, by placing them together in an envelope specifically marked for such a purpose. But an even better way is to add the cash customer's name to the order and to use that name to recall the order. Press Next Screen to move the cursor to the only other screen in point of sale, called the Big Header screen. Don't be too concerned by all the information fields on the big header. You'll only have to work with a couple of them for now. Once again, press the Save Order key to recall an order transaction. The cursor jumps to the Order field. Type in the document number which was just assigned to the order and print it on the receipt. Then press the Home key once and the Enter key 3 times to move the cursor over to the field for short ID. Type in the customer's name and press the Change key to modify the original order. Now that you have added the customer's name to her order, you will be able to recall Madame Poppinjay's order by using her name. In the meantime, to resume your normal operations, press Clear and then press Next Screen to move back to the posting screen.
Hi there, I'm back. How much did all this cost?
What was your name again, please?
Poppinjay.
Oh, yes.
To recall an order, you have to be at the Big Header screen. Press Next Screen to get to the Big Header. Press Save Order to tell the system you want to display an order. The cursor moves to the Order field, and you now have 2 options. If you happen to know the actual order number, you can type that number in at the Order field. After that, press Enter and Next Screen to bring back the posting screen exactly as you left it before you totaled the bill. Or, if you added the customer's name to the order, you can move the cursor to the Short ID field and then type in the customer's name. With that information alone, pressing Next Item and Next Screen will also bring back the posting screen you had worked on before. Once you're at the posting screen, you can complete the transaction like a regular sale. Okay, so far you've dealt with cash customers, those walk-in customers who pay by cash, check, or bank credit card. Now we'll demonstrate how to apply some of the procedures you've learned to customers who maintain a charge account with your own store. In this next scene, you'll locate a customer's account by looking up the account number in a nearby Rolodex. And then you'll apply a discount on the price being charged to the account.
Hi, I'm with Thomas More Construction. We've got an account here.
Okay, let me look up your account number. Doesn't seem to be here. Do you know whether it's listed under an M or a T?
Beats me. I'm sure we've got one, though. I've charged stuff here before.
Here it is.
All right.
Account number 99998 at Builder's Lane.
After locating the customer's account number from the Rolodex or customer listing at your checkout stand, press the Charge key to tell the Triad that the following transaction is to be applied to a charge customer. A special screen called the Mini Header appears. At the Customer Number field, type in the customer's account number and press Enter. The Triad responds with the name and address of this particular customer. Press Enter again to confirm the accuracy of the record. You're now ready to sell merchandise, just like you would for a cash customer. Type in the SKU number. To discount the sale of this item, press the Discount key. You now have the option of selling this item either for a percentage off the retail price or for a specific discount price. For example, to give a 20% discount, type 20 in the field for discount percent, and then press Enter. The item is posted to the screen with a D next to it to indicate a discounted price. To sell an item at a specifically discounted price, Press the Tab key to move the cursor to the discount price field. Type in the discounted price and then press Enter. Total the amount of the sale. And since all the merchandise on this particular invoice is being charged to the customer's account, press Total again to print out the customer's invoice and conclude the transaction. That describes how to look up a customer's account by the Rolodex method. But there's an easier way, by using the Triad itself. In this next scene, we'll demonstrate how to look up a customer's account number directly on the Triad. Along the way, we'll also show you how to override the tax status on the individual items you sell.
Hi, I'm back again. Remember me? Thomas More Construction. We have an account here.
Oh, yes. Hey, I learned a new trick since you were last here. I'm going to bring up your account without looking it up in the Rolodex.
Hey, go for it.
To search the Triad's records for charge account customers, press Charge. The mini header for charge accounts appears. Press the Tab key until the cursor blinks inside the parentheses at the short name field, and type the letter C for customer account. Actually, any letter you type in the parentheses on the mini header will function like a wildcard. But we recommend that you get in the habit of using a C for customer, because when you look up accounts on the big header, you will have to be specific. Wildcard letters won't work there. Press Tab to move the cursor outside the parentheses, and then type the first few letters of the customer's name. You may have to try both the first and the last name, because the computer software is designed to bring you the closest match, letter for letter, depending on how the customer's name was originally coded into the short ID field by your manager. Press Clear Field to eliminate all the characters in the field from the cursor onwards. Then press the Next Item key or the Previous Item key to display the correct account. The Next Item and Previous Item key work like fingers on a Rolodex file, flipping the account records forwards or backwards. When you have the correct account, press Enter to confirm and to have the transaction applied to this account. The account number appears in the upper right-hand corner of the posting screen.
Okay, let's confirm that I have the correct account. Thomas More Construction on Builders Lane, right?
Right. By the way, this fiberglass is for the company, but these hammers are for the Boy Scouts. I'm their leader. We have tax-exempt status, too. Here's my card. Okay, I want to pay for the hammers with cash, but I want to put it all on one invoice. Is that okay?
Sure.
The clerk posts the sale of the fiberglass as usual by entering the SKU number and then pressing Enter. To override the tax status on the Boy Scouts hammers, you type in the SKU number and the quantity, and then you press the No Tax Transfer key. The Triad posts the sale with an N following the extended price to indicate that this is a non-taxable item.
Will that be all?
Yeah. How much to owe you for the hammers?
Let me figure that out right now.
Press Total to find out the amounts due on the taxable and the non-taxable merchandise. You now need to calculate the amount payable by cash and the amount to be charged against the company's account. Let the system do the math for you. Type in the amount due for the non-taxable merchandise in the cash field, and before you press Enter, tab the cursor down to the Charge field. Now press Enter. The screen tells you how much you are short. Type in that amount at the Charge field, and then press Enter to apply that amount against the company's account. Collect the cash for the hammers, and the transaction is complete. You just saw how you can override the tax status of individual items so that no tax is charged on those particular products. You can also impose a tax on merchandise you sell to your tax-exempt accounts when required by law. Check your manual or flip chart for information on that procedure. Now, once in a while, perhaps when a charge customer is trying to take advantage of an especially good deal by purchasing in volume quantities, your manager may have you change the payment terms on an invoice. These terms indicate how much the customer must pay against their account and when. When you have to change the terms of an invoice, here's how you do it.
Hi. I worked out a special price of $14 on those 4x8 sheets of 3/4-inch plywood with your manager. He said, just go ahead and bill me out.
Yeah, that's right, Linda. Selling the plywood for $14, but change the terms on the invoice for this sale to code 2.
Okay. Thomas More Construction, right?
You got it.
You can only change terms on an invoice from the big header screen. So press the next screen key to move from the posting screen to the big header. Moving the cursor around the big header efficiently takes experience, since sometimes you have to use the Tab key, and at other times you need to use the Enter key. This time you have to use the Enter key to move the cursor to the parentheses of the short ID field. Type a C for customer, and press Enter to move the cursor outside the parentheses. Type the first few characters of the customer's short ID name to search for the account, and press Clear Field. Then press the Next Item or Previous Item key until the correct account is displayed. Press Enter a couple of times to move the cursor to the Terms field. Your manager has coded certain payment terms and identified each set of terms with a different number. To change the terms code from 1 to 2, simply type over the 1 with the 2 and press Enter. There, it's done. The customer's payment terms have been changed for this invoice only. Press Next Screen to move back to the posting screen and post the sale of the plywood at the discounted price. All right, we've covered a lot of material and we're near the end. So far, all of the procedures we've shown you have to do with making a sale and collecting payment for the merchandise. But as a clerk at the checkout counter, you may sometimes receive payments to be applied to customers' charge accounts. In this final scene then, we're going to demonstrate one more procedure: how to receive a payment. This procedure is called Received on Account, and as you'll soon see, the way into it is through the key labeled, aptly enough, ROA.
Hi. I'd like to make a payment on our account, Thomas More Construction.
Okay. Just a second while I bring up your account.
To begin the procedure of receiving payments on account, press the Received on Account key, which is marked ROA. The screen heading changes from Sale to Received on Account. Bring up the customer's account by either of the two methods we've already covered, by looking up the account number or the account name. When the correct account appears, press Enter to confirm it. The posting screen is now ready to receive payments on account.
How much do you want to pay on the account?
$350 even.
Type in the amount of the payment and press Enter. The payment is posted to the account. Press Total. The payment fields appear. Fill in the payment fields with the amount of the check and the information on the check, just as you did when you posted a sale. Press Enter and then endorse the check by inserting it in the cash receipt printer and pressing Print. When you're done, the system returns to the sales mode automatically. The payments you receive on account while in point of sale will update the customer's account immediately, and the information will be included in the appropriate reports at the end of the day. You should also refer to your manual or flip chart for details on a few procedures we haven't covered, like adding remarks to an invoice or cashing a check. That's all. You now have a solid introduction to the most common procedures you'll be using in point of sale, and you should be well on your way to doing a good job. As we mentioned earlier, though, we simply have not been able to cover all the fine points and shortcuts in this one video. So we strongly encourage you to supplement your working knowledge of point of sale by doing the workbook exercises, by reading the manual, and by becoming familiar with the POS flip chart. Spending a few minutes now to learn how material is organized in the flip chart can save you a lot of time and maybe even some embarrassment later on when you need to look something up in a hurry. Oh, one last thing. Don't be afraid of breaking or damaging the computer in any way by any of the keystrokes you press. Nothing that you press in the normal course of your work can hurt it. Of course, banging on it with a framing hammer is another story altogether. Just keep in mind that the computer is designed to serve you and to make your job easier. The sooner you master the procedures we've demonstrated for you, the sooner you'll appreciate the power of the Triad. Good luck. If you need extra help on any Triad application, Triad has a service called Extended Customer Support. A customer education representative will come to your store and give you training that's tailored to your needs. To find out more about Extended Customer Support, call this toll-free number.